such an asshole.
This is one of those topics I will never relent until I start seeing generations of parents actually start caring about their kids. And it's one of those ultimate slaps across your faces. I need to thank all parents in America, not just the boomers. You guys started it. I need to thank you all for doing such a tremendously shitty job raising your kids because I wouldn't fucking exist if you guys did your job. I know you're also ego invested in yourselves, not your children. Your children are tools for mostly. I mean, there's good parents out there, but most of you are all about yourselves and your children only to serve yourselves. And you're so fragile. You're so egotistic. You're so prideful of yourself that you will vehemently and emotionally, but not irrationally or self-awaringly, if that's a word, uh, look at your own selves and how shit parent jobs you do as parents. Because at the end of the day, my existence is proof that you most of you in America suck as fucking parents. And just like I'm sure a cop is sick of crime and a doctor is sick of disease, right? We'd prefer these things, these scourges of society not exist. Like a cop and like a doctor or a nurse, I wouldn't have a job without you, ass. I would not exist. Asshole consulting wouldn't be a thing if you actually loved your fucking children and raised them right. And I know it is what it is. I prefer. I talked about this before. Like Roosh would have been a great virologist or a scientist if you guys weren't fucking around with the dating dynamics and sexual dynamics of men and women. I would be an economist or a nuclear engineer or something, not what I am now, instead of this talking head on the internet. But you all went out there and started fucking with shit, namely not raising your kids because you come first. And here we are. So we got a request. We're just gonna cover some some ground I did before, but maybe encapsulate some other groups within America, other groups of parents, which is not true. I've had some clients that fall into this guy's concerns. Hi, asshole. Returning client would like a video response. It's a long one, so bear with me. I know over the years you've talked about how American Western parents are beyond worthless and that they've fed their kids basically BS about life, work, etc. A bunch of touchy-feely crap, as you put it. You're not wrong at all, but my question, how come you never mentioned the other aspect of parenting, that being the part boomers, Gen X, who treat their kids worse than shit? Where if they don't beat the crap out of them or do terrible things to them, they are just excessively mean, lie, manipulate the kids. Actual mental abuse, not basic discipline. Is it because you yourself have never personally known that too many people to have experienced these terrible things? So this is just one group. He goes on to others. Yeah, to be sure. Like there has always been actual abuse, right? Actual mental, actual physical, and the other one, which I won't mention. Um, and I don't have data on it, right? I'm kinda I open up a shop and I like, "Wow, did you notice a lot of Latinas, female Latinas come to my shop. They come to my restaurant." Well, boy, that's curious. Why is that? I mean, it's open to everybody, but there's something about, my restaurant that it appeals to Latinas. Um The majority I just get people like, "My life fucking sucks on a financial, career, and educational front. Help me get out of it." And over the God, what's it been? 11 years doing asshole consulting, not to mention all the research I did. I'm like, how are everyone here younger, 20-somethings, 30-somethings, teenagers, how are they all ended up at my doorstep? And one of the commonalities is shitty parents, but I didn't, like, investigate. What percent were actually abusive? What percent were just bad environments, toxic environments? What was just rank and file? Mommy got bored and divorced and destroyed the family. What was it? Dad went out for cigarettes and never, deadbeat dads. I never really looked at it. But if I'm going to go based on just experience, I think actual abuse, like physical abuse, tortured, mentally ill abuse, is not as common as just baseline shitty American parenting, right? Because a lot, one, it's illegal, right? It's not illegal for you to outsource your child to a nanny or daycare, right? It's not illegal for mommy to go get a job, and well, kids are, they'll live on their own. It's not illegal to get divorced. So it in a lot of people's minds that somehow become acceptable, even though it's not. Um, so, but then to like actual abuse, I think that's a lot rarer. Not to say it doesn't happen, but yeah, same result. An indifferent, apathetic parent who doesn't really raise their child, the kid's going to get screwed up. And then there's the, you know, killed a party, actual physical abuse, mommy and daddy opening up credit cards in your social security number before you're 18 type of, yeah, that shit happens. Yeah, but I don't know what percentage of that is. And then, you got the victimhood industry out there where anything is abuse. They gotta make everything abuse. So, I mean, in my day, in the age, no, like spanking totally legal, the switch totally legal, right? But punching and putting kids in hospitals and being maliciously mean, like you're saying, I have no idea. No idea. So is it because you yourself never personally known that many people who have experienced these terrible things? Yeah, in part. Didn't happen to me. I didn't know that many like actual legit abuse. No. I'm trying to think of anyone I know whose parents actually abused them. Oh, I know a ton of people like my parents abused me. And it's like the dad said no and spanked you. That I'm like, no, that's not abuse, man. So I just think although it's real and the outcome is the same, if not worse, I don't think it's as common um, as one or people would like you to believe. I mean, I'm sure I've dealt with actually abused children who are now adults, but I don't deal with it on that, and I'm not a psychologist or anything. It's well, surprise, your finances are shit. Well, let's deal with that. Now we go on. I'm a millennial. I've known so many people where both parents were either wrecks or scumbags that the kids didn't talk to them. I've known many non-white parents who have done the things I've mentioned above. Just recently, a coworker told me he's dating a Middle Eastern girl who lives with her parents whose father beats her black and blue for going out with friends. Okay, so let's continue on. I've heard similar stories like this my whole life because the parents claim the daughter or son went against their culture. I've had more than a handful of clients like that. Immigrants come over and their parents are like, "You're not going to be whatever, Muslim or Jewish or what." If they don't beat them, they scream and make a huge ordeal out of it. They can't do anything at all without the parents' permission for their whole lives. If white parents love things more than their kids, then non-white parents love their culture more than their kids. It's pathetic and infuriating. Anyways, apologies for rambling and let me know how much okay, so now we're talking another group of people, and it doesn't it I know you're going white versus non-white. It doesn't yeah, generally that would correlate, but, you're talking culture, and I've seen this largely with first generation Americans who are children of immigrant parents, and to the level and degree, it depends, right? I've had the classic kids from Muslim families where, "Oh, you're abandoning the family." There might have actually been abuse. Usually it's abandonment, like, "How dare you, blah, 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 blah." And then you are ostracized or kicked out of the family. I have had it where, it's not religious, but it's cultural, and the parents come over, they get their asses on welfare. The kid doesn't wanna just live in the same Section 8 shit housing the family grew up in and actually wants to take advantage of the opportunities that America grants them. And their parents then come back and say, "Well, you need to support us. You need to support us." And the kid's like, "No, you've been living off the taxpayer this entire time, and why am I your slave?" There's Asian guilt, where mom and dad come a lot of it, not just Asian, but it's prominent in the Asian community. We came to America, but we're gonna hold on to the Asian values that you take care of us in our older age. And by the way, you're going to become well, one of the oldest clients I had, let's go way back in the day. He was Iranian, right? And this had nothing to do with Islam or religion or anything like that. he would, I remember, I hope he's doing well. I should look him up. So I remember his parents paid him to go become a doctor. He was to become a doctor. They gave him a brand new Mercedes, some kind of fancy German SUV. And I think he just couldn't handle the sight of blood. Like he didn't want to, he's like, no, I can't become a doctor. I don't want to become a doctor. And instead, he became a chemical engineer, right? Like, okay, fine, you're not a doctor, but a chemical engineer, that's pretty, you know, most of us would be proud of our son. They fucking disown him and cut him off. And he was living out of his SUV in the United States. Um, just because you brought shame, you will become a doctor. You will become this. I will tell you what you're going to become. You will practice violin and not video games when you're a child, and you'll never use that skill in your life ever again. So you got Asian culture kind of almost suffocating or oppressive. And if you don't perform to mom and dad's expectations, I have no son. And then a commonality, though not exclusively limited to the black community, is I've had at least now 2 clients, young black men, found out their parents open up credit card, their mom opened up a credit card in their name, and they went to get a loan or apply for a job, and the credit score came back and said, "Oh yeah, you're in default or delinquency." And they're like, "What the fuck?" Uh, the problem though is let's talk about the 2, well, let's talk about my main complaint with all American parents, and then we could talk about the individual cultural, foreign, domestic, ideological types of ways parents also fail their children. Because it's not as cut as white domestic Americans and foreign non-white immigrants. It isn't that clean cut. My main complaint about American parenting is basically falls into the parents putting themselves ahead of their kids. The main one is that they do not prepare the children for the real world. To them, the child is a consumer luxury good. It's for them to show on social media, for me to have that check mark. Mothers, what was it? The majority of women want to get married, but don't want to be a wife, and want to have children, but don't want to be mothers, right? And I'm not just focusing on women. Men are pretty much equally bad for letting it happen too. But their children are a thing. They outsource their kids. They don't raise their kids. And then all of this ties into not preparing your kid for the real world. Never doing negative reinforcement, meaning punishing. It's all it's all positive reinforcements. And I mean, I've seen it, guys. I've seen millennial parents negotiating with 3-year-olds. We don't do that. We don't do that. That's a timeout. Beep, 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 beep. My generation, well, maybe they were boomers, but slightly older than me, where they found out I was an economist and they said, maybe you could help us with our daughter. I'm like, okay, what is it? Well, she's having time finding herself, which just means she's a lazy sack of shit. We've been bailing her out. And, she's like 30 and she needs to like kind of get on her own. I say, are you giving her money? And they say, well, yeah. I said, well, stop doing that. Oh, no, I can't. That's my baby. It's like, okay, so you listen very carefully. The parents fear the discomfort a candid, honest conversation would be about cutting their daughter off more than they love their daughter. Americans are all about the fun shit and the positive reinforcement. Here's some cake and let's give hugs and puppies and singing songs. But when it comes to spanking or, hey, you're going to get a fucking job, a little bit of that Dragon Mom thing would be all right. Telling their kids no and not negotiating with the kid like, I fuck because I said so. And you're going to limp. They don't want to do that. They don't want to do the 1 or 2 times you got to outlast the stubbornness of your child. Well, no matter how long you outlast, like, yeah, it ain't going to happen. I will not buckle. And then just choosing the easy way out of treating parenting like it's a a luxury good like it's a trip to Disney World and not a fucking job like it is. Choosing the career and the materialism, well, mommy's got to go out and work, and I got to pay off my worthless student loan debt, and then we're gonna have to get this. We're gonna have to get countertops. We're gonna have to have car loans, and not raising your fucking kids. That, well, one, I would say it's abuse, but it's neglect. I'd say in certain ways, but two, in avoiding the hard work of raising children because you view them as a consumer luxury good. You fail at the end of the day, all the different ways and all the different motivations that you fail them, whether it's financial, material, and ultimately the worship of yourself and avoiding hard work, you do not prepare the kid for the real world. And then they end up on my doorstep. Then I got to come up with a course called The Dad You Never Had because I have to repeat myself. Like, look, here are all the things your parents failed you, and I can fucking write a book or do a course on it. It's that common and that standard. So I think that is quote unquote standard standard Western parenting, but not exclusive, obviously, to just white, natural born American citizens. All right. Then you get into the failed parenting where there are cultural, ideological, even religious type of concerns that once again, just like we could put it down, we could simplify it like this. Americans they love materialism in themselves more than they love their children. And one might say, you could say generally immigrants or non-American born families value their ideology, whether it's a religion, politics, or culture more than their children. And if, also very common, my parents are stout Muslims. I came here, I'm not really Muslim anymore. I'm afraid, and they love their parents. Like, I'm afraid if I tell them I think I even had a guy who was gay. Well, obviously he can't mention that to his Muslim parents. Yeah, okay, well, how you gonna play that one here? You in the United States, and a lot of times it's like, let's just make mom and dad happy, that kind of thing. That I think generally immigrants, first generation Americans are going to face that more than you would, Jenny and Jason being born in the suburbs and mom and dad were too busy working to give them the time of day. I would call it abuse, different forms of bad parenting. But the end result is, kids are kind of neglected and not necessarily prepared for the real world. I can understand sometimes like tradition and culture, right? It's not necessarily bad to have religion or we're a Christian family until you get out of the house type of deal. You can do whatever you want, but while we're here, we're obeying the 10 commandments, we're doing these things, we're going to church. Okay, that's their right and their domain. That's not necessarily bad. Nothing wrong with getting a little bit of religion on kids. There's some ethics and morals in that. It's when the parents are like, okay, now that you're 18, I don't recognize that. Now that you're in America, I don't recognize that. You're going to continue to believe what I want you to believe because you're my property. That's where the line gets crossed. I think that's more common you'd find within immigrant cultures. Our culture, religion, beliefs, politics, idea, whatever it is, that comes first and foremost. Now, as I said before, everybody is guilty of this, whether domestic born, immigrant, or not. Right? Because surprise, preacher's kid. Guess how we were raised. Now, my parents never threatened me where if you don't go to church, I have no son. That never happened. But I know people that did. I know people like if you weren't Christian, you were disowned. Well, it definitely caused some problems. So it's not strictly, or, politics, right? If the kid grows up, under a Democrat household and they find out that he became a conservative or Republican, oh, yeah, I have no son. But immigrant or not, white or not, whatever the reason, difference in religion, difference in politics, difference in culture, or you could say we could say it's all religion or yeah, the religion. What is your standard quote unquote white, though? It would be standard American born religion. The religion is materialism. It's themselves, right? And they love that more than they love their children. And I would at least immigrant families, I'll grant you this. They're like, hey, you're going to study. You're going to, well, some anyway. You're going to work hard. You're going to become a doctor. So they're willing to invest in their kids that way. American parents is just like, oh, fucking outsource it to the schools and the teachers and all that. So at least one advantage immigrant kids might have is that you teach your teachers, your parents at least instill a work ethic in you sometimes, most of the times, not always, where the American parents are just kind of like, oh my God, an SUV. What's my kid's name again? Oh, can I take a picture with her? Is she claimed to be trans? I want to put it on the end. Oh, look at me. And whoever this girl is here who's now becoming a boy, I'm so proud of my son. Daughter, what are you now? I know, mommy's got to go to coffee. Yeah, I guess we could say that materialism is the religion. But in every case, it is the parents putting themselves ahead of the children. Perhaps understandably, if they're truly religious, like an actual religion, and like, no, this is our value system, you must believe it. That's the one I could kind of understand. I don't agree with, but I could kind of understand. But in every case, it is the parents putting themselves ahead of the kids. And certainly, so I'm trying to look for parents who are quote trying to do the right thing, but they're worshiping a false god and putting their kids like second, third, or fourth in their lives. This obviously the first group you talked about where there's actual abuse going on. I don't even throw those people in. Those are just fucked up, evil, vile people. But yes, the when we go out of the classic American family, which is materialism, you might get into other forms of gods you put before your children. Sometimes, like my old man, right? Well, God comes before family, of course. That's what it says in the Bible, of course. But that then means you as a kid are not getting the discipline you need. You're not getting the love you need. You're not getting the attention. And you sure the fuck aren't getting the instructions you need on how to live in the real world. And this is where I would differentiate it between immigrant cultural, I guess, neglect of the kids and the classical American parenting is at least, your Asian dragon mom is going to make you get straight A's and go and get a career. At least they're telling you, at least that's the one thing. Everything else is fucked up, right? What do I do with my life? Occasional Asian client comes in like, I'm this and successful. What do I do? I'm like, you've been doing what your parents told you to do this entire 30 years of your life. You don't know you haven't, what do you want to do? You don't even know what to ask, what to do. Because it's just been do what your parents, and they've served you very well to become a successful surgeon, engineer, whatever. But yeah, man, there's you got to figure that out. So it's better than, I don't know, to tell you how the money will follow. Mommy's got to go get her nails done. Ask your dad. Hi, hold on, whatever your mother wants, son, please don't divorce me. Oh my God. But yes, there is. It's a failure in parenting in both ways. They're going to end up at my doorstep, albeit for slightly different reasons. But yes, bad parenting is not merely relegated to the conventional Western American born materialism and corporatism and careerism over our children. You can see it in other cultures, immigrant or not, where the cultural beliefs supersedes the love for their children. And where it's said in, Islam, well, yeah, Judaism, Abraham killed Isaac. That was in the Old Testament. So that's all the Abrahamic religions. Yeah, you're supposed to love God more than the children, the religion more than that. And so, yeah, it says that when you're going to think for your own and like, oh, maybe you ought to love your kid a little bit too. But But outside religion, yeah, I could see definitely. Hey, remember that shitty country we came from and our stupid culture that made us this ass backward shithole? Yeah, we escaped that shithole and that culture to come here to the United States to continue repeating that culture and then wonder why we're not as wealthy as the average American. And that's more of a religion of poverty and laziness and sloth. And again, those immigrant kids, first generation Americans need to get out of it. But yes, it's Western parenting does not have a monopoly on bad parenting. It's not the only form of bad parenting. It's not the only form of neglect. There's other things as well. Um, and I kind of deal with it. I just never really thought much about the paths in which they got there. Claim their daughter someone against their culture. If they don't be and they scream and make a huge ordeal out of it. Right. Right. They can't do anything about it at all without their parents' permission for their whole lives. Right, and I've seen that where they control their kids' lives. It's like, yeah, man, I've told them that. That's the advice. I'm like, look, you're gonna have to tell your parents no. And this happens with all people. Like you have to tell your parents no. Everyone has to stand up to their old man and say, no, I'm not gonna do that. And clients have a very real concern, not just because their parents are whatever, not perfectly aligned with them or frankly love other things more than their children. The kids still love their parents, right? And there's a real risk if you stand up to your parents, they might actually disown you depending on how extreme they are. Now, I've not seen it happen. Usually they're the ones to blink and realize, "Oh my god, we're gonna lose our child because we've been too extreme." Sometimes the parents are, like, so abusive and bad, it's like, "Get the fuck out of here," like, yeah, those are horrible parents. They love alcohol and drugs. Look, if your parents opened up a credit card in your name when you were a kid, get the fuck out. Like, those are horrible people. I had one guy, he wanted to join the military, but the mom, surprise, single mom, would threaten to disown him because she'd get less Section 8 housing allowance because there'd be one less kid because he would go off to the military. These are horrible fucking people. Horrible fucking people. Um, but aside from that, like, yes, you would generally like to keep your parents in your life. But you gotta face like, hey, you're either a slave to them or their ideology or their value system. Um, you know, or you establish some boundaries, say, no, I'm not gonna do it. I'll give you another perfect example that doesn't have anything to do with what we've talked about so far. Although I guess it is materialism. Do you know that sometimes old people become hoarders and they love their stuff? Oh my God, their stuff. And did you know that baby boomers move sometimes and then that they scale down? And it's going to happen to my generation too. And then you go in and, oh, can you help us move? And this goes regardless of age or generation. I'm like, okay, did you throw all the shit you don't need away? Right? I am not. I've seen it. I am not moving your stuff from one storage facility to another storage facility 3 states over. Get rid of your fucking shit. The people that you go over there and like, help me move, and they mean help me pack and move because they didn't even bother putting it in the boxes. Fuck you. Um, that's where you're the kid and you get to your parents and they're like, they've had all this shit accumulating over the years. And you're like, okay, mom, dad, you're moving. Are we going to get rid of this shit? And then they gotta fight you on every little, "No, no, I might use that. I might use that. I might use that." They're not hoarders, right? But they got way more shit than they ever possibly need. That's that's where you gotta put your foot down, like, "No, I'm not helping you move. You have ridiculous amounts of shit. I am not your slave to indulge you in your erroneous and wrong life choices to enable you to keep making them or, like, pay the consequences." So and then, "Well, you're not gonna have to throw it away." "No, I'm not helping you. No, I'm not helping you do that. No, I'm not, you fix your own damn car." I've seen children just mindlessly go like, "Mom needs help with the garden." What's a 78-year-old lady doing with the garden that she doesn't attend? Why are you driving 4 hours to pick crops for your mom? No, you don't have time for that shit. I really learn the phrase, "Sounds like a you problem." But that happens universally. You do have to draw that line. Friend of mine, she's my dentist, great gal. She says, "You ever hear of powdered butt syndrome?" And I'm like, "No, what's that?" It says, "Anyone who's powdered your butt won't listen to you." Meaning, like, your parents or older, be like, if you were a little baby that put powder on your butt, they're not gonna listen to you. Oh, well, then fucking better, because I won't be around. It's like, I'm not engaging in that. So this is a very light, watered down, almost cute variant of it, but not recognizing your sovereignty, you as a separate human being, and thinking that they own you and you're just gonna slave yourself and believe what they want you to believe and do what they like, you're still their personal property, you're still their little child. Everybody has to face off with their parents on that to some level. The vast majority of the time, the parents are not going to sacrifice their children for whatever stupid, like, I'm a Packers fan and you're a Vikings fan. How dare you betray the family? I don't think that's going to happen, but it can happen in some. Yeah. Especially if they don't love you. I'm not saying love. Look, most parents in America love something more than you, typically themselves, but they still love you. And if all of a sudden they're going to lose their son or their daughter, especially the now abuse, like, yeah, they don't love you, man. I don't give a shit what the fucking excuse is. Yelling and screaming and assaulting adult no. But that's up to you guys, and you gotta leave. It's not so much the financial difficulties of leaving the family. It's like, wow, you gotta give up on your family. But sometimes you gotta realize a lot of people, especially in America, and yes, in the occasional immigrant community, the culture and all that, they love something else more than you. And they are furious if you don't, like, then they are like, how dare, they're offended, like, you gotta leave that fucking shit. And unfortunately, that's gonna be the case in a lot of instances. The the blatant examples of abuse, or where, the welfare mom threatens to disown the son because he wants to join the military, that's pretty clear cut, like, get the fuck out of here. What I think is way more common, especially immigrant or not, once you come to these shores, the fucking religion, the state religion here is materialism and yourself. It's careerism. That is, and it's just accepted, it's promoted, it's legal. And it's evidence. Men aren't innocent of this either. But where it's like no one's going to stay home and raise the kids. Mommy's career is way more important than raising the children. The fuck out, you're dropping kids off at daycare? Go fuck yourself. And you know why dads let that happen? Because they love pussy more than their children. Simple facts. Simple fucking facts. And so that is, I'd say 85% of American parents. You know what it is? You come up to me and you say, "Hey, heroin's a really bad drug." I say, "You're right. Probably the worst drug, right? There's fentanyl, heroin, crack. What are the real meth? Really horrible drugs. But alcohol is so common and so universal and kills way more people, but it's socially accepted." And that's what I'm trying to point out, is what we've come to socially what young people, kids, were kind of forced to socially accept, parents didn't really, is that your parents love themselves and whatever false god they had more than you. And it's very obvious in their behaviors. And typically that's materialism in themselves. That's the alcohol. That's, well, it's acceptable. It's perfectly okay to get to, yeah, but it's still killing your liver. It's still killing way more people than heroin or crack does. So yes, we could identify, hey, yeah, an immigrant family based on this thing, and whatever, they're beating their kids. That's wrong. Absolutely. That's your heroin and crack. But and you being part of this kid, don't tell me someone who does heroin doesn't drink a little bit in excess either. Right? That's what's affecting more people right now, and is also, I would say, specific to America. Right? If you went back to the home country, there would still be this issue. So it's not specific to America. What is specific to America is how children are fucking third or fourth place, or used as some kind of pawn to make money or get attention or scratch some biological itch. They are pieces of furniture in this country. And I want to thank all you American parents for treating your children like furniture and SUV, because without you treating your kids like absolute shit, I wouldn't have this job. Thank you. Thank you very much. Anyways, apologies for the rambling. Let me know. I apologize for the rambling answer, but it was kind of an amorphous thing. Link below is the course I have called The Dad You Never Had. Basically, your parents should have taught you the rules on how to live life and be successful. They didn't. They gave you bullshit excuses like follow the heart and money will follow. You're great and amazing the way you are. Oh my God, caught off your junk because mommy wants to be popular on the internet. Your teachers know everything. Right. They just be yourself. The world's worst fucking advice. Get your foot in the door. You got her in. Give him a firm handshake and send a thank you card. That'll get you a job. Girls like sensitive, nice guys. Oh, fuck. Anyway, so the past 3 generations of kids have been lied to. They are not preparing you for the real world. They are just making it, they're abdicating their parenting responsibility. They're just doing the fun shit. They're avoiding the hard shit. They are not making it so that you will succeed in the world. I mean, it's one thing if you don't tell the kids the rules to the game. It's another thing when you tell them the wrong rules to the game. The dad you never had goes through, like, if your parents are divorced, are your parents poor and bitching and whining about life? Well, this course is for you because your parents don't know what the fuck they're doing or didn't know what the fuck they're doing. Unless they said, yeah, we were wrong. Don't do this. Don't do that. Otherwise, you end up poor. Like, oh, okay, then that makes sense. But if like, you ought to, you should. And it's like, yeah, I noticed all the cat piss and shit in the carpet you've been living here in the you're still in Section 8 housing and you're giving me advice? Fuck out of here. I'm sorry. The dad you never had. It's available on Teachable. All right, let's go to the super chats. Wholesome DJ Aftershock, $5. Dude, bro, I'm eating my wings with the guys. I'm watching the game. I'm wearing number 9's Phillips Filbertson's jersey. My kids don't need a dad, yo. Yeah. And guys do have their, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Remember, Cameron's dad loved the Ferrari more than anything else. Some guys love their sports ball more than anything else. I will say that. Fathers love pussy more than their children. That's why they never tell their wives no. Happy wife, happy life. You heard it here first. And look, hey, American parents, look, man, if you don't like my attitude, please just shut the fuck up and fuck off. I don't care. You kids don't care. You're horrible. You're absolutely, objectively horrible people. Not all of you. Yeah, I know. Cappy, you don't have kids. Yeah, you're right. You're right, because I wanted to make sure first I could afford them and say, well, maybe I shouldn't have kids if I don't want them. There's a foreign concept, huh? Huh? Whoa. I'm not saying I'm the world's greatest dad, but in just being truly neutral and not fucking up not bringing innocent souls into this world with no intention of actually fucking raising them. Yeah, I'm better than most of you. Way better. I sleep great at night. Let me know how the divorce proceedings go. Hat Clogs, $2. The National Teachers Hall of Fame. Is this you? No, I'm not in the National Teachers Hall of Fame. And I wouldn't give that. If there is such a thing, I wouldn't give it any veracity. It's just who's the best Marxist indoctrinator. Potato sauce, to Australian. Most Aussie parents are just as well. Yeah, it's a Western phenomenon. Mommy and daddy need their Range Rovers, and we need our RVs, and we need our Social Security. I'll figure it. Kids are resilient. Ken Rose is high for $5. Hello, Ken. Uber Noob, $2 per cap. We put the kids in front of an iPad. Exactly. All day. Hey, when I start seeing, I'll start saying American parents are doing a better job when I start seeing the percent of kids who major in dumb shit drop below 40%. Right now, you factor in men and women, you're looking at 80, 85%. When I see that you raised your kids, like, yeah, we're not spending $120,000 on a journalism degree. You need to do, we borrow, true value and diversity. We borrow a page from the book of Asian parenting. You're like, yeah, STEM or go home. Or the trades. Maybe not with the disownership of the child if they choose not to become a surgeon. Like if they become a mechanical engineer, maybe we're still proud. And maybe we get rid of the musical instrument that they're never going to use. You don't have to waste your time learning that. I love getting them on that one. Just saying, not everyone's got to learn the violin. Maybe let the kid play some video games. That's, yeah. It's when I see you actually help young children. When I see you parents, here's my challenge to you. When I see you parents prevent your children from making the single biggest, largest financial mistake that the majority of American kids made at the age of 18, and that is sign up for debt for a worthless college degree. When I see that go below 40%, I'll start saying American parents give a flying fuck about their kids. In the meantime, please just shut. When I see the divorce rate drop like to 20%, fine. Like with kids, if you don't have kids get divorced, that's fine. There's no victims. When I see you act like, I don't know, fucking grown-ups actually training your kids for the real world, I'll change my tune. In the meantime, most of you are fucking pathetic failures. Fuck off. Apollo the All-Seer, $5. I'm convinced the gender war exists because boomers traumatized like 90% of kids. I don't know if they traumatized, they just fucked up. Is that a different? I don't think the gender war exists. I think the gender war exists. I've said this a million times before. Genetically, women were never that interested in men to begin with. And feminism took what was indifference and apathy and turned it into a rivalry at best, a hatred at worst. So women view men as the enemy, and now we got to punish them. Some feminists since the 60s have convinced women of that. Beforehand, women would just they dismiss you. They didn't get, standard rejection that you would get since time immemorial. Now it's, and you are oppressing us, and you ask me out, how dare you? There's going to be a punishment. Not always, not the majority of the time, but now, you can. Well, then, over in the United Kingdom just last week, didn't they arrest some people because they catcalled or hit on some female cops that were running undercover? That's feminism. So I don't know. I don't think it's boomers traumatizing kids. I think it's feminism warping women into viewing men to view them as the enemy. Uber noob, $2. All the therapy bills and parents still. Oh yeah. Oh, by the way, I want to thank the psychology profession industry, which has been around in full force. 50 years? You still haven't done anything. Still haven't solved one fucking problem. I still got people coming to my doorstep. When wasn't it the American Psychological Association that came up with the idea of toxic masculinity, right? You guys were all about I cut off your junk gender for kids. Weren't there some psychologists that were all for that, right? I don't want to misspeak, but right? Yeah. I don't wonder why the kids are fucked up. Hey guys, remember that time the gray hairs and the adults went in and tried to convince us that fat chicks were hot? And if we didn't like it, we hated women. Do you remember those times? Remember how fucked up the parents were? I'll go all day, man. I'll go all day with the current crop of adults and parents. I'll go all day with you fucking pieces of shit. You guys are fucking horrible. You're fucking horrible. Remember all the moms that said, just be yourself? Remember the 3 generations that majored in what they wanted, the money would follow, and then they're probably, you're just going to get a master's, get your foot in the door. Oh, all day, every day. I want to thank the American parents, though, foreign or domestic, immigrant or domestic, doesn't matter. Thank you all for fucking your children up, because I would not have a job if you actually loved your kids more than yourself. Beard is death. $5. Claire, I'm 40 years old. Is it too late for you to adopt me and be I'm only 10 years older than you. Wouldn't work out. You could be my younger brother I never wanted. I got a buddy. You're like the older brother I never had and never really asked for. No, I never. See, unlike 85% of American parents today, I knew I didn't want to have kids. And if I had a kid, it would be very bad for the kid. So I got a vasectomy early on. See, it's called, what is it? Sympathy and self-awareness. I acknowledge there were others. I am so intelligent. Can you sit down for this one, American parents? Sit the fuck down on this, on a cactus. I am so smart. How smart is he? He's so smart, he could theorize a person who didn't exist would have a lower standard of living and suffer if Aaron were to bring the child into existence. Like, I could theoretically conceive of the idea of a human being existing before I brought in instead of like, oh shit, I don't know. I wasn't wearing a condom and she said she was on the pill. Oops, I did. Okay, we'll just go on welfare, bro. I don't know. Like my baby mama. I don't know why the kids are all fucked up. All right, there you guys go. Link below is that course, The Dad You Never Had. There's other courses on Teachable that I have that might be of interest to you, but specific to this one, yes. Really, what would be 85% of the kids? 100 million young people. Yeah, and like young adults probably take it to 100 million. Times, I get like what, 70% of that times it's 100? What would I make? Oh, is that seven? Yeah, $7 billion. I should have $7 billion in sales. That'd be awesome. All right, see you guys later, Toodles.